NASCAR is bracing for Phoenix Raceway, the championship track this weekend. Christopher Bell, can he win 3 in a row? And NASCAR power rankings way too early. Let's get into the video. All right, guys, we're going to get rolling quick. 3 keys to the Phoenix Raceway NASCAR Cup Series. Let's get into it. So, option tires are going to be the topic of discussion this weekend on Sunday. Haven't been used since Richmond last year. NASCAR announced on January 22nd that the Goodyear option tire will return to the NASCAR Cup Series for this spring weekend at the championship track Phoenix. It will be the same process utilized for that summer race back in 2024, where each Cup Series driver was given 6 primary sets of tires for the race and 2 sets of option tires. It's going to be 7 for the race this time. The goal of the option tire is to increase grip in the short term, which can provide more pace to the car. The trade-off, however, is that you're not going to have the long run speed and the tire will wear significantly faster. So this option tire, of course, designed to use strategically when you want to gain some track position, but will it last as long as that normal tire? No, it will not. So going to be interesting to see the strategy, guys. So again, for the race weekend, we will have 8 yellow prime tire sets, and this is going to be the normal tire, and then we're going to have these softer red option tires, and that's for the weekend, right? So for the race, however, we're going to have 7 sets of normal tires, and then 2 sets for the race of the option tires that, again, are softer. Going to shake things up, guys. So if you're watching the race, we're getting ready for what's going to happen at Phoenix Raceway, guys. Get ready for a lot of talk about these option tires, guys. Some influence from Formula One, but let's hear from Chris Buescher on what he thinks of these option tires. So, interesting quote on what his thoughts were for this weekend.
I wouldn't say it was needed. I thought we'd had some pretty good races there as of late, but I think it worked out pretty good at Richmond, created some storylines. So I'm not going to say that I'm against it, but yeah, I guess I was surprised that it did come around and that it will be utilized for the end of the season. It's just another curve thrown at us that we gotta try and get right and bring strategy back into it, which is a good thing. But
right. So bringing strategy back into the sport, as you might hear a guy like Denny Hamlin say, bringing strategy back into the sport is what's going to make it more exciting. It's going to create more passing, hopefully, and then the tire fall off is going to be huge. So you got guys who may not be the best at tire conservation. Who are the guys that can take this option tire and make it last the longest? That is going to set up your favorite driver for success this weekend. So watch out for the option tires. It's going to be a big role. They'll keep track of it on the Chiron. You'll be able to see which of your favorite drivers is using the option tire at any given time. Going to be interesting to see, do they save it for that last run or do they get themselves in position for stage 3? I think a lot of guys are going to save it for stage 3 and just play strategy in stages 1 and 2. Key number 2 to the race, can Hendrick or JGR overcome the Penske domination at Phoenix? If you look at a guy like William Byron, last year finishes 4th at the championship 4 race, but of course it was Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney 1 and 2. So a couple different changes. Of course, the weather is going to be a little bit cooler for this weekend. It's going to be in the high 50s to low 60s for race weekend. Again, these tires are going to come into play. What have the teams done to prepare for this upcoming weekend? Is it going to be that Penske show? Is Penske going to go all out? Is Penske going to say, hey, we're going to show all our cards and we're just going to go for it this weekend, see what we can do? Who is going to play this strategically? Is this kind of a, hey, we're just going to, sacrifice the race so we don't show everything? Is it going to be maybe I sandbag, maybe JGR, they know they've picked up on something, but they play their cards a little bit cooler and maybe they don't come out guns blazing and they try to save their stuff for the championship 4. Anything is possible, guys, but no doubt strategy is going to be a big part of this weekend and also setting yourself up for that championship race at Phoenix come November, guys. Going to be a lot of talk after this race and even during the race about who is setting themselves up best in case they reach that championship 4. Now, the third key to the race is going to be Chase Briscoe, guys. So if we remember, I'm sure maybe you guys don't remember this, but some guys do if you really have done your homework. Well, this post is from November 1st, 2023, right? Most laps led at Phoenix with the next gen car. Of course, Ryan Blaney, typical Joey Logano in your Penske. That's going to be the talk of the weekend. The Penske guys. Kyle Larson, William Byron in 5th place. But look at Chase Briscoe. 112 laps led with that Stewart-Haas number 14 Mahindra Ford. Is that a top tier car? Was it ever a top tier car? Some may say it got up there at some points, but the real answer is it was never on the same playing field as a Chase Elliott, as a William Byron, as a Ryan Blaney, as a Larson Logano. So if you guys remember, Chase Briscoe did actually take home that win in this race 3 years ago, okay? So what has changed here? Of course, they weren't on the option tire. He was with a much worse team. But now Chase Briscoe, coming into this season, has kind of resurrected his season in a way. So starts off great. He's technically 14th in points, but gets a penalty. And now this week on Wednesday, NASCAR announces in a stunning decision, first time, that a NASCAR Next Gen parts violation has been overturned. So Chase Briscoe now riding high with some momentum going into this weekend. Is it momentum from performance on the track? A little bit, but a lot of it is momentum from that penalty being overturned. He basically had his best points day ever. As he tweeted, he said 100 points, my best points day ever. Now, it was enough to put his morale at a point where it's just, he's going to be riding into this weekend high. And I think if he can surpass expectations, he might put himself in a conversation for, maybe top 5 in points, maybe one of the hottest drivers. I think there's a chance this guy could maybe even take the win and secure a playoff spot. And guys, I wouldn't be surprised, it's a little early in the season, if we see Mr. Chase Briscoe make that Final Four. He's got a strong car. He's in Martin Truex's old car. But he is, again, he's got a lot to prove. Martin Truex was leaving, retiring last season, kind of coasting. Chase Briscoe has a massive opportunity this season, and he is a driver that will be capitalizing, and you can assure yourself that. This is not a guy that will lay down and waste this opportunity. Chase Briscoe is going to be your third key. Now, the main thing you're going to hear is Mr. C. Bell, Christopher Bell, comes into the race with a 2-race winning streak. He wins at Atlanta in that caution flag finish with Hocevar next to him, right? And he wins there, and then he backs it up, passing Kyle Busch in the closing laps at COTA, ends up taking that win. So that's 2 straight for Christopher Bell. Of course, the main narrative coming into this weekend is, can Christopher Bell come out and make a 3rd win in a row? But, of course, you can't forget about the Blaney and the Logano's, right? So if you look at the past races at Phoenix, it's no secret that Penske is absolutely dominating. So, of course, you have, your Hendricks and your Gibbs that are going to be absolutely coming after it. But can Bell be the single-handed car to upset? It would be an interesting deal if Bell were to finish first, Logano and Blaney finish 2nd and 3rd. That would be a very interesting storyline, because it would kind of separate if Bell is able to come in and win his 3rd race in a row. Where does that put the other JGR drivers? Is he that much better? Is the 20 car that much better? Is he now the undisputed championship favorite? Did Penske purposely sandbag? Going to be very interesting to see how Christopher Bell can follow up on these 2 wins. He has a history of going high and then going low. So not really sure what to make of it, but excited to see nonetheless. Let's get into power rankings now. Way too early after 3 races, right? So let's jump right into it with number 10. Chase Briscoe sitting 14th in points right now, but riding high off of that rescinded penalty by NASCAR. So Chase Briscoe, of course, gets that penalty reversed, and that is going to spark his morale. He's going to walk into that with a lot more swagger. He was like sitting negative 28 points before they rescinded that penalty, so he would have had less points than me or you. To quote Eric Estep, I heard that on one of his videos. He would have had less points than anyone. Negative points, not good. But now you come into it with 72 points, sitting 14th in points. All of a sudden, you come into it with more swagger. Your team's going to work harder. Going to see that. So, a guy 14th in points, all of a sudden, is sitting at 10th in the power rankings. He's got a lot to improve on, a lot to prove this weekend. And that brings us to Carson Hocevar, who's had a very interesting season so far, almost brings that win home in Atlanta, and with a very good performance. I would say he's been the guy that has most outperformed his equipment. It's going to be very interesting to see what he could do at a track like this, where it's more of a team car. The Penske guys with the best cars going to be at the top. In COTA, you can kind of make your own, deal happen and, maybe outperform the expectations. But certainly Carson Hocevar has been the biggest surprise, the most outperforming of what he's got in his car up to this point. All right, so Alex Bowman has had a very, very solid season so far with a 6th at Daytona and a 9th at COTA. Very solid race for him at COTA with the 26th at Atlanta. Alex Bowman currently sitting 7th in points, and he's just hanging in there. He's really exactly where he needs to be, not too high, not too low. Bubba Wallace is going to be in the number 6 spot, and he's been pretty good, guys. It really hasn't been so much of the finishing positions that have really helped him. It's been him getting stage points, being where he needs to be to get points, right? And, of course, with that 2nd place qualifying at COTA, no one really expects Bubba Wallace to be a 2nd place qualifier at a road course. So he absolutely overperformed, kind of underperformed at the race with that 20th place finish. But I think his performance has been enough to put him a solid 7th in the power rankings. And now Chase Elliott. Of course, he's going to be very consistent, but I think that there was an argument to put him in the top 5 for this week's power rankings because of his run at COTA. So, finishes 15th at Daytona, finishes 20th at Atlanta. But that COTA race, guys, if you remember, he comes in and first lap, he gets chastained, right? So, gets chastained on that first corner, and then just slowly, methodically, strategically works his way up through the field. And it's going to be interesting to see how consistent he could be, what kind of car he's going to bring, what kind of attitude he's going to bring to Phoenix. What kind of drive will he put together at Phoenix? I wouldn't be surprised if he does very well. Top 5 run? Probably. So, number 5, guys. One guy that probably is not outperforming his equipment so much as just outperforming expectations. So, Kyle Busch comes into Daytona and odds-on favorite. Doesn't win, a little bit of a disappointment. And did pretty good, but finished 34th after getting caught up in some trouble at Daytona. Then comes to Atlanta, spectacular performance, finished 7th. Then at COTA last weekend, Kyle Busch was the leader for most of the race and in the closing laps. I did not expect this, but he absolutely drove the wheels off that car, and it was only thanks to Christopher Bell's just absolute poise and pressure that was able to knock him out of the lead. Kyle Busch takes your number 5 ranking in this week's power rankings. Ryan Blaney has been the mark of consistency so far, finishing 7th at Daytona, 4th at Atlanta, and brings home 19th at COTA. Tyler Reddick was a threat to win at COTA, ended up finishing 3rd. If you remember, he was actually trailing Christopher Bell at Daytona, finishes 2nd, and then a 19th at Atlanta. He is now sitting 3rd in points. William Byron almost wins at COTA, 2nd place finish, coming off the Daytona 500. He's actually sitting 1st in points, but the only reason that he's not, first in the power rankings is because he's not the guy that's coming off the gate with 2 wins in a row. And that's obviously going to be C. Bell. So Christopher Bell, he's going to take your number 1 spot in this week's power rankings. And that is going to do it for the power rankings. It's going to be interesting to see what happens at Phoenix this weekend. You guys can catch all the action on Fox Sports 1. If you guys like this new version of my mini cast, I appreciate you guys for watching. If you guys got this far, it's a little rough, but trying to manage it is always a challenge at first, but I can assure you that things will get a little bit smoother. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoy both races this weekend. Xfinity's on Saturday and Cup is on Sunday. Super excited for this weekend. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you on the next edition of ZBC Racing. And as always, ciao for now.